You've made it to chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 400 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Irene Gold. And if you want to see her perspective of why she supports all chiropractic colleges that teach chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And today I have Irene Gold coming in from Boca Raton, Florida. And I, your host, James Chester, am coming in from Grand Junction, Colorado. And before we get into episode 400, this is a powerful episode because 400 has been a long time coming. But before we do this episode, I want to tell you this, the big why behind Chiro Hustle. Chiro Hustle exists for a few reasons. Number one, we protect freedom of speech in chiropractic. Number two, we protect the sacred trust. If you don't know what the sacred trust is, go and do a Google search or search your favorite search engine and find out what BJ Palmer sacred trust is. Number three, we support subluxation-based chiropractic, universal intelligence, and innate intelligence. And when somebody gets adjusted, it connects man or woman, the physical, to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, Irene, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I know that it's been a long time coming for us to get you onto Chiro Hustle. But the first question I have for you is, tell us your chiropractic story. What got you into this beautiful profession?
Well, I started out as a registered nurse. I had been in graduate school, and when I came home from graduate school, all of my friends had left town, and I wanted to find some new friends. So at that time, Reggie called a meeting of all the new friends because he happened to land in that town because his car broke down in my hometown. That's how we got there. And so I went to this meeting, and I was interested in him. I introduced myself to him, and we started to go out. It took about 2 days for me to get under chiropractic care, maybe less than that. Okay, and I didn't come with any diseases. I didn't have any problem. I didn't have anything like that. My entire interest in chiropractic was Richie Gold, not chiropractic. So that's how I got. But that didn't put me into chiropractic. It did not get me into school, because for the next 13 years, I worked as a nurse in various areas of nursing. And back in 1971, I went to my first DE meeting. I'd never been to one before. Reggie was the speaker there, and I went to that meeting. And at that meeting, there was a woman from Michigan who was 18 years of age and got up in front of the whole group and told everybody that she was going to devote her life to chiropractic. And on the way home in that plane, I made my decision to go to chiropractic college. Now, there were a couple of other things that led up to it, of course. One was, in our house, we used to have meetings, chiropractic meetings every month, and we never advertised them. So if we had a meeting in April, we would announce that when the day would be in May. And when we had the May meeting, we announced it when it would be in June. This happened to be January of 1971. And we had a meeting on that day. And Reggie said, our next meeting is going to be February 12th. And everybody went home. Then when they left, he said, by the way, I forgot. I'm not going to be here on February 12th. I'm going to Hawaii to a seminar. You're going to have to take over the meeting. Now, don't forget, the only thing I ever did at these meetings was serve coffee. That was it. year after year after year. We had it for 7 years. And so I said, there's no way. I'm not going to do that. I can't. These guys are coming to hear chiropractic. What are they going to hear from me? That doesn't make any sense. So I said, you better get somebody in here to do it. So he got 2 people to come in and take over that day. And 2 weeks before, one of them called up and said he wasn't coming. Reggie left for Hawaii, and on Saturday, when we weren't supposed to have the meeting, I got the call from the other guy. He can't come. His daughter is in the hospital. I said, go to the hospital and make sure she's all right, and then come up here. I did everything I could to get him to come. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was frantic with that situation. And then the nice thing happened. The snow came. And I said, no one's going to come. It'll be fine. No one's going to come. Well, the snow cleared up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and about 60 or 70 people showed up. And I did the only thing I knew how to do. I taught them how to do a chiropractic layman lecture to individual people, to sign them up for lifetime care. That was my job. That's what I was good at doing. And so when it was all over, I got letters from the people who were there, how much they learned from me. I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this really happened. And so that was another incident that came up, and that's how I got into chiropractic college. I would have gone to Palmer College because that was the only college at that time that was known. But I went to New York, and it was within driving distance from where I was. So I ended up in New York. It was a rough 3 years, When you go into a college and you know more chiropractic than the teachers that are teaching you, it was tough. So that's how I got into chiropractic.
And at this point in your career, I know that you've been helping with the education process postgraduate and getting students prepped to take their boards. Tell us a little bit about how many chiropractors you think you may have made with your studies and your education process.
Well, you're getting ahead of everything. You have to realize how this entire program developed. And it developed because I was teaching. When I graduated from chiropractic college, I wanted to go into practice, but I couldn't get a license. I couldn't get a license in South Carolina because there was a political situation going on at the time, and none of us could get licensed at that time. So I ended up teaching. And while I was teaching, another teacher in the school came to me one day and said, we need to get these people through boards. Why don't we run a review class? And we did. We ran a review class for 6 weeks. We had 53 people in the class, and 3 of them passed. First time out, 3 of them passed. So we got together and we tried to figure out what we did wrong. We rearranged the entire program. And the next time out, we had 178 people sign up for the class. These are all Sherman people. And 3 of them failed. And then they started flying in from all over the country to be with me to pass the test. So I have, and then when I left Sherman in 1978, I started my own business. I created Irene Gold Associates in 1978, not easily, because I went to the bank to get money to get started. I asked for $5,000. They turned me down. They said, you can have the $5,000, have your husband come in and sign for it. I said, it's not his business, it's my business. He said, well, I'm going to tell you something that I will deny later on. He said, we don't give money to women to start businesses. So I had to have him sign his car over to the bank so I could get the $5,000. I paid them back in 6 weeks. I went back 6 months later to get it again. They give me the same runaround. I had to put up his car in order to get $5,000. And then the third time out, they called me when they saw all the money I was making. They said, what can we do to help you? I said, you can do nothing for me. So that's how we got started. I had no idea this is where I was going to end up. I never planned it. I never did anything like that. But I did have my background was in education. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in education. So I'm probably one of the few teachers at any chiropractic college or anywhere that actually trained to be a teacher. That didn't mean anything. I didn't learn how to teach till I taught. I didn't learn anything until I got up in front of that classroom and those people started asking me questions. And that's when I learned how to teach.
So tell me, what was it like to be around Sherman back in the late?
I 3 years ago, and I no longer own the business. I now only do private tutoring.
So what was it like the early years working at Sherman?
A lot of really enthusiastic students. They knew when they came there, they didn't know if they were going to get a license anywhere. And very few states really gave them a privilege to be there. When we got evaluated by the national board the first time, they turned us down. And one of the reasons they turned us down was because of me. They said I wasn't teaching the chiropractic that they want to give credit for. So that happened, and then when that happened, we got turned down. A whole bunch of students left. I can't blame them. You know, they wanted to get a license someplace after doing all that work. But anyway, that's what happened, and we finally got them licensed.
So I have some really cool questions for you, and one of them pertains to Reggie's Valley of the Blind. What did that do for chiropractic when he created that talk?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you when that talk was given in 1972 at Palmer College at a Lyceum program. Well, it was called Homecoming program. He was the first speaker in the morning, and Sid Williams was the last speaker in the evening. It was all an entire philosophy day that Palmer College put on, and that's what that came from. When I heard that speech, I told him everybody's got to hear that. He didn't believe me. He said no. He said it was just another talk. I said no, it wasn't just another talk. It was a most inspirational talk he had ever given. I don't know how many people in chiropractic have listened to it, but they all should listen to it because it is today as it was then. Have you heard that one?
Oh, it's one of my favorite.
Okay.
And then tell us a little bit about Chemistry of Life.
What's that?
When Reggie did Chemistry of Life.
Yes. He did that.
Tell us about that.
But you have to understand. We were in practice, and every single week, I'm going to say 50 weeks a year, he did a layman lecture for somebody. So you do that many lectures over and over, and you get a pretty good idea about what should be on that tape and what people want to hear, or what people need to hear. So that's how that came about. He developed that.
What would happen if nobody came to that lecture?
Which one?
When he did his weekly talk, would he just do the talk anyways?
I don't think that ever happened. I don't believe that ever happened, because when you do a talk for somebody else in their own office, they make sure people are there to hear it. Okay, because he didn't charge them anything to do it, so they did that, and we didn't have a problem with that. People showed up.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Tytronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle. So maybe share with me some of your favorite Reggie stories.
Okay, I'm going to tell you one. It happened in the late 1960s. It was a time when immunizations became a very big issue, specifically for the rubella vaccine. It came out just about that time. And the AMA had a meeting prior to putting on a radio show about rubella. And we sent a chiropractor into that meeting. He went in as a reporter. And he came back and told us, they're going to be on the air. They're going to do a radio show, and they're going to try to convince everybody in the town to take the rubella vaccine. So at that time, we had a patient organization called PACE. We told the patients about it. We had one patient in there who was a young girl who had had the rubella vaccine, had adverse results from it. So we bought time on that radio show. And every time the AMA took a brief rest, we came on. My name is so-and-so. I got the rubella vaccine and I've been crippled ever since. And then and we had all these things going on. So the AMA didn't like Reggie after that. It was a tough. But anyway, it was an interesting time. It was just an interesting thing.
So
he went on the radio a lot too. Reggie did a lot of talks on radio, and every time we got talked on radio, we had all of these people coming into the office. It just blossomed overnight. But I'll tell you, I will tell you how it all happened. It happened only in 1 year. Reggie taught at Columbia Institute of Chiropractic, taught philosophy there for 4 years, and then he got fired. He worked in that job. First he did 1 day a week, then he did 2 days a week, then he was at 5 days a week. He did it for $1 a year. He said he would not take any money for teaching because chiropractor had already given him so much. This before he even had a penny. He was doing this. So now I lost my train of thought.
You're talking about Reggie being on the radio a lot.
Yeah, he was on the radio a lot, and he had when he got fired from this job, we did a layman lecture. It was April 30th of that year, and from that April 30th, we got a couple of hundred new families signed up. Oh, in 1 month, we were working morning, noon, and night to get these people educated. Just from one lecture. That's what we got. And from there on in, and our practice was a family practice. You could not come as an individual. If you wanted to be under care, you had to bring your whole family. We could do that because of our fee system. Because we had a fee system with box on the wall, and you could pay whatever you could afford to pay. So you can see we weren't in this for the money. You know what I mean? We were in this to make sure that people got under chiropractic care and stayed under chiropractic care for life. That's what was a whole thrust of whatever we did.
So lifetime care is important to you.
What's that?
Lifetime care was important to you.
Yes, and it still is. I went to get my spine adjusted before I got here today. I just made it.
Me too.
Yeah. I have an appointment every week.
I go every Tuesday.
I go Mondays usually. But I missed Monday yesterday, so I made it Tuesday.
So tell me, since you've been in the chiropractic profession as long as you have, what are your favorite organizations to support?
Well, I'm a supporter of all the chiropractic colleges that teach chiropractic, my kind of chiropractic. So that's one of the things, and one of my favorite ones is Sherman College, because I started there, my whole business started there, my whole life started there. So I continue to support them because they represent the kind of chiropractic that I promote. Please, do I do that? And other than that, I'm not part of a whole lot of organizations. I go to a lot of these things. I go to New Beginnings. I go to Mile High. I go to Focus. I've been to a number of different seminars. And
So what are your favorite seminars?
I like all of them. As long as they're chiropractic seminars. I would not go to a seminar to learn how to do some kind of physiotherapy device or some kind of, that's not my thing, okay? I go there to be with people who live the kind of chiropractic life that I do and believe the way I do. Those are my friends.
That's so great. So let's talk a little bit about you. Like, what are some of your hobbies? What do you like to do outside of supporting chiropractic?
Teach people. That's what I do. I do it about, I'm going to say, at least 15 to 20 days a month in my home with private tutoring, with people who have graduated from chiropractic college and haven't passed boards. That's who I work with.
So do you have any idea how many chiropractors you've helped pass their boards?
At one time, I think it was something like 65% of the profession. At one time, I don't know what it is now. But don't forget, I don't own the company anymore. Somebody else is running the company, so they're using my name, but they're doing the same program that I do.
That's really cool. So a little bit more about you. What is your favorite type of music? Like if I came and listened to your radio on your car, what would you be listening to today?
I don't listen to music.
What do you do? What do you do for entertainment?
I get on the computer and I write questions for the boards. That's what I do. And another, my social life is strictly with my family. I moved here because my family lives here. So my social life is strictly with my family, but mostly with chiropractors.
That's so beautiful. And I know that Reggie wrote, how many books did Reggie write?
He didn't write any.
No books.
No, he didn't write any book. Now he did, I'm going to show you, because I have it here. I want to show it to you. This is the book. This is the book that he wrote. It's not a big book. It's called The Triune of Life.
I own that.
It was interesting to me because this was written, by the way, 1964 as his PhD thesis. That's when it was written. And I was shocked when on the national board test, they asked the question about and the answer was the triune of life. And I was surprised. None of my students knew what it was. Nobody. So I had to take out the book and show it to them. Yeah.
So let's talk about the future, if that's okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the future holds. You have to understand, I came into chiropractic at a time when we didn't have any recognition. We didn't have any insurance. We could not advertise. None of those things existed when we started in chiropractic. When we worked with patients, we did not have charts on every patient and write up every visit that the people came in. We didn't, and those are requirements now that we did not have. We never had that. We didn't have insurance. We didn't have anything. So it's hard for me to know exactly where everybody is going with all of this, because everybody else is used to this. They're used to insurance. They're used to taking notes on every patient that comes in and writing all of that, which of course slows down the number of people you can see. You can't see as many people if you have to do all that extra work, which we didn't have to do. So this is a new chiropractic. I'm just hoping that everybody can see to it, to make sure that everybody knows the whole fundamentals of chiropractic care and will promote the whole idea of lifetime maintenance care, regardless of what they have, insurance or no insurance. I think that's the most important thing. Whether that will happen, I have no idea. I'm 86 years old. I'm not going to live for another 86 years to find out. Maybe you will.
So we're almost at the end of our time together today, but is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to share with the chiropractic audience today?
Well, I can't think of anything that's anything special. I don't know what you want to know. Um, I'm just hoping that everybody who is in chiropractic wants to be in. That it's not something you're going to do just for a living. I think you have to want to do that. You have to want to be able to pass this information on to other people. It has to be a burning desire to make that happen. And if that's not your thing, then go do something else.
Amen.
Don't waste your time as a chiropractor if you don't have those feelings about it. If it's not a passionate thing for you, because life is too short. Why would you want to do something you weren't crazy about? Why would you want to marry somebody you didn't like? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me.
My favorite Reggie Gold quote is, if you're not out to change the world, then you're just playing Mickey Mouse.
And that is written on the wall at Sherman College. There's a wall that has been dedicated to him and to me, I guess, to some way. And that is on the wall. That's what he's always. No, we were out to do something special, and I think he accomplished what he set out to do. Don't you?
I absolutely do. It's so powerful, the work that you guys have done over the years. I'm so thankful to have you on to the chirohustle podcast, episode 400. Now, last question for you. If people wanted to work with you or do the boards, how do they get in touch with you? Is there a website we can send them to?
Well, they would have to go through the organization, because I can't take on people who haven't registered with the organization, so it has to be done through them. But I don't take everybody. I don't have room for everybody. I take those in need. Those people who have tried and tried and tried to pass and have not been able to. And I convince them that they can do it and show them that that can happen. So I was very, very happy when in January my entire class passed, all 6 subjects. I never had a whole class pass everything before. And some of them were out of school for several years, but they were dedicated to learning and they were dedicated to passing. So I was really proud of them.
Well, Irene, I thank you so much for being my guest today. It was a real pleasure to have you on to the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Well, I hope to see you soon at one of these amazing chiropractic seminars, or maybe I'll come out to Sherman Lyceum.
Now that sounds like a great idea.
All right, Irene. Well, I really appreciate you being on with us, and I want you to have a great rest of your evening down there in beautiful sunny Florida.
Okay.
All right. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.